Hello and welcome to the AOR Project Cars 2 Formula C Championship. We are at round 2 at Monza, a fantastic circuit that's known to provide some fantastic racing with big slipstream, very high-end speeds and heavy braking zones into the chicanes and corners. So let's jump into qualifying right now. And JP, after Ruapuna Park, how are you feeling looking going forward into Monza this week?
Well, it took me about a week to grab my breath after last week, so yeah, I'm fully expecting the same to be happening tonight, and yeah, definitely looking forward to it. This is my pick for the season. I definitely think tonight's going to be some of the best racing, but yeah, we'll see what happens, and hopefully everything goes clean for everyone.
Yes, definitely. So we're on board now with WRC Animal. Just finished his out lap, going around for his first flying lap. Of course, just default setups in this championship, so they only have the choice between loose and stable to keep it balanced between everyone. It comes mostly down to driver ability at this point. So we'll see now if anyone can attack Yogurt this race when he took two very comfortable victories last week at Ruapuna to start off his championship. As we go now to Yogurt, who will be on his opening lap, giving Stephen Carey a tow possibly. Whoever that is, that's actually incorrect on the Delta thing, apologies. But he is out.
That's going to be either Speedy Go or Hoofred, or as Yogurt's very sideways through Scary there. He's given up on the lap, I feel. Yeah, he doesn't want to give him the tow. Or maybe he wants the tow for his second flying lap.
Yeah, we may see some teammates, quite possibly in the background there. We see two come around the corner together, giving each other slipstream for this qualifying, as everyone knows Monza. Very fast track, long straights, huge slipstream, especially in these cars. Can easily add up to half a second a lap in just slipstream alone. So we're seeing how people play it, whether people allow themselves to tow someone else around, or whether the teammates work together to tow each other around for a few laps to get some decent times in. As we see, Strongest Avenger putting a 151.1 in for his first lap.
Yeah, that's not a bad lap to start out with. To be fair, I seen in the practice session that's pretty much the times that Yogurt was posting. So yeah, it's a good first lap for Strongest. I don't know if he had a tow on that lap, but on track now he's out in front. So if he can do that there in clear air, he's definitely up for a good showing tonight.
Yes, so it's actually interesting. That is Yogurt and Strongest Avenger together on track. So Yogurt did give Strongest quite the tow around most of that lap, and it looks like Strongest is pulling over now to let Yogurt go through for his lap and not tow Yogurt round any more than he needs to. So it's very interesting, this.
Yeah, this is the battle that we were expecting for the championship, and can't imagine. Oh, the Yogurt goes off and hits the wall. That's definitely a quick reset to pits and try and get out quickly again. Well, it doesn't really need. He's got 9.5 minutes left to set a quicker lap time. Currently sitting in P5, so he has time to get up there. But yeah, he definitely can't see Strongest or Yogurt wanting to help each other out. I'm surprised that Yogurt was willing to do that, to get Strongest around for the first half of the lap to give him the tow. But I guess he realised too late who was behind him.
Yeah, as Yogurt there, sending it into the wall on his flying lap, but like you say, plenty of time left for him to go faster still. And Strongest Avenger now out on his own, so let's see if he can improve now without any influence from another car.
I don't think he'll improve this lap. He was doing a lot of weaving to try to keep the tires temperature up in the tires, but yeah, he was 5 seconds off that lap. But let's move now to Stefan Carey, who's coming across the line. He's currently sitting in P14, 7 seconds off the leader. Does he improve? Jumps up to P4. What a great lap from Stefan Carey.
Yeah, 153.6. So as you can see, even second place is 2 seconds off the pace of Strongest Avenger. But the battle after that point, we have sideways there on the curb there for Stefan Carey. He's going to have to abandon his lap and return to pits. But already we have second all the way down to 7th. They're all within a second of each other. So Some very close racing again we're going to have here if qualifying's anything to go by.
Yeah. As the airfoil does improve, the WRC Animal sitting on P2, a full 2 seconds off strongest Avenger, so that just goes to show how strong the slipstream is that he had behind Jogurk and his first flying lap. But yeah, WRC Animal having a great showing so far. As he goes slightly wide. I'm not sure if track limits in this game will let you keep that lap. Big Wilk, who had a great showing last weekend, who got a second and third place. He's currently sitting in P3. Definitely one of the big guns for this league as well. You can't count him out for the championship.
Yeah, he had one of the moments in the feature race last week with As Turbo, which was one of those classic one more lap situations. Over the closing laps, he managed to put the gap from 5 seconds to be right on his gearbox, but he needed that one more lap to get any move done on As Turbo, so we'll see what he can do today. See if he can get himself further up the podium. He did finish second in the first sprint race though last week, so good start for him for the season.
Yeah, and obviously that would have meant that he started 9th for the feature race with the reverse top 10, so you can also show that he has the pace to battle through, and it wasn't just he didn't just run off into the distance. Like, he can battle people and get up through the grid. So he had a great showing last weekend to show that all round he just seems to be a pretty handy driver.
See him come over the line now, and does he improve at all? He seems to have improved a little bit. I'm just going to see, still in P4, yeah. But closes the gap now, the strongest Avenger, to within 2 seconds.
Yeah, the gap's closing now. I think all other guys now are starting to use the slipstream to get the gaps to close, but Crab now, as his last lap, they managed to put in the 152.5 to put himself in P3. As we see in the background there, a WRC Animal getting a bit drifty. But yeah, Crab's up to P3. He'd a great qualifying last week, but then unfortunately there was contact between him, Jogurk, and Strongest Avenger, and as well I think later on in the race as well with As Turbo, and I think his luck just pretty much wasn't there last weekend, or last Wednesday, to have the results that he deserves for his pace.
Yeah, unfortunately finishing P15 in the feature race last week, but he managed to get 6th in the sprint race, so we know Crab's got the pace. He just needs to have a clean race this week to show us more of what he's made of.
Yeah, and look at him now, sitting right behind, I think that's Boris, and he will be getting a big toe off Boris here as they go up across the final turn to head to the start-finish line. Will he improve by much? He's gaining on Boris a hell of a lot as they cross the line. And he puts him up to P2. He gained almost half a second just in the slipstream alone around that last turn.
That was a great lap there by Crab. Gets himself above WRC Animal. Obviously Monza is known for turn 1 being a hotspot for incidents on lap 1. So further up the order you are, the easier it is to stay clear of all these any potential incidents that could happen behind you, so even that one position can mean a lot to Crab.
Yeah, and I did say to Jogurk last week that I don't think he's going to have it all his own way at Monza, and he's currently sitting in P9. I know he hasn't set a proper lap, but it's not as easy as it looks.
I will see now as he comes down towards Parabolica. Let's see if he's going to jump himself up the order now.
Where's he going to put him? P1 by a 1/10 of a second over Strongest Avenger.
I believe the gap was the same last week as well with the qualifying between Jogurk and Strongest Avenger. Just 1/10 separating the top 2 drivers here. So Strongest Avenger obviously not having a great weekend last weekend, or last Wednesday, finishing 19th in the sprint race due to incidents, and only managing to get himself up to 8th in the feature race. having to battle with that huge train of cars that we saw from, I believe it was 3rd place down to 9th or 10th, was just a train of cars battling the entire feature race. So, oh, someone there going straight over the curb. I believe that was either Cameron or JJP there, one of the late birds drivers. Yeah, we'll see if Strongest this week can have a better showing and put Yogurt under some more pressure, because Yogurt, fair play to him last week, just ran away with the races, just got in, well, had pole position in race 1 and got into turn 1, and Crab took out Strongest Avenger, and then race 2 fought his way from 10th up to 1st within the first couple of laps and then disappeared down the road. So maybe with some pressure from Strongest Avenger, it'll be a different story this week.
Yeah. I know this lap is currently, he's a 10th down on his fastest time, but he's in the slipstream now of the car in front, so I don't know if the car in front's on a lap or not, but I don't think he's going to get out of the way, so he will get a tow down to the start finish. But oh, as there's contact at the final turn, that's cost Yogurt his lap, as Yogurt just takes the turn a bit too quick as the car in front loses it, and they both go off.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Yogurt's going to have enough time to do his outlap either. There's only 2 minutes left of the session. By the time he gets out the pit lane, he's not going to be able to, even on the fastest lap he could do, I don't think he'll get round in time with a 1:51 lap time to start his other lap. So that's Yogurt done. We'll see if Strongest Avenger can take that pole position away as he comes through on his penultimate flying lap.
I'm not sure Strongest Avenger's timed this very well, because he won't be able to get a slipstream off anyone. There's no one ahead of him to get a slipstream. I know he does have a fresh car and tyres and light fuel, but Monza, you need someone in front of you to break the air so that you can get that extra speed in the straights, because it's just so vital important to your lap time.
Yeah, as we saw, Strongest, his initial lap time was behind Yogurt of all people to be able to set that 1:51.1, put him into 2nd place now. So we'll see if he can gain anything, but without the slipstream, it's going to be very difficult for him.
We'll see what it gets to the first split. The first sector ends right now, and he's 1/10 down on his best lap. So he needs to get 2/10 on the last 2 sectors, which is a big ask, unless he can catch the car in front. But I'm not sure. We'll cut back to him before the lap's out, but let's jump on to Boris. Going around turn 3. He had a great showing last week. He had 2 4th places, so it's just out of reach of the podium. But let's see what Boris can do tonight, as he's almost a 10th up on his lap time. I don't think that's enough to improve anywhere, but cut back to your Strongest Avenger now. The time's up on the qualifying. Strongest Avenger comes round the final turn. Can he gain that 1/10 that he needs to take pole position off Yogurt? Is it enough? It's not enough. Here we are, Dayerfan now sitting his last lap in qualifying. Currently sitting in P7. Everyone ahead of him has pitted. Their qualifying is over. And he heads down towards Ascari.
Unless the remaining drivers can put into something special now, I think our top 3 is pretty safe.
Yeah. And he goes slightly wide into the wall.
Yeah, DFL pushing hard there, but just losing it coming out of Ascari. Go with Dunder now, sitting in P9 currently. Needs to find 3/10 to gain up to P8. He's at the last sector mark, which is just after Ascari coming off the... Oh, that's not going to help his time at all. That's the end of his qualifying now for Dunder.
Yeah, and WMDR Martin coming around the final turn. Driving to... Yeah, he's not even going to... He's just giving up on his lap. He's just practicing his pit stop.
Hopefully not going to have to do that this weekend, as pit stops are not mandatory or required for these races. The weather conditions looking cloudy for the whole weekend, so should be good on not needing pit stops today unless it's damage related.
Yeah, last week MDR Martin didn't have a great race, to be fair. But yeah, there's your leader, P1 for Yogurt, with a 151 flat, fantastic lap. Then Strongest Avenger in P2, Crab P3, Big Wilk in P4, WRC Animal P5, Ass Turbo in P6, Boris in 7th, Darefell in 8th, Dunder in 9th, and Stefan Carey in 10th.
So we are jumped into the feature race now. Sprint race, apologies. It's a 11 lap race, standing start. So they will go on the green lights. The feature race, for those who are unaware, it is a the top 10 finishers from this race will be reverse grid order for the feature race, which means that if you finish 10th, you will start on pole for the next race. So we'll have a look for that battle for 10th place. Last week I remember it being quite hotly contested to try and gain that 10th spot, as it does just jump you well up the order for race 2.
It definitely was hotly contested. Even in the pre-season testing, it was hotly contested. It's definitely a great incentive, to battle the mid pack, like, because it gives you something to race for. Instead of just like 1 or 2 points, you're actually battling to like have potential to get like huge points in the feature race, which is great. Like, so definitely a great incentive.
So as we wait now for the drivers to prepare themselves, load up their loose or stable setups. There's no editing setups here today. So it all comes down to picking one of those and then driver ability all the way to the end. So Strongest Avenger starting in 2nd place behind Yogurt, just 1/10 separating them in qualifying. Unsure if Yogurt had slipstream during his lap, but we know for sure that Strongest Avenger did. So it should be interesting now in this race coming up. See if Strongest can stick with him, or will Crab make things even more interesting into turn 1 this week.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Yogurt did have a slipstream going into for his flying lap, but I think he had a good slipstream off Boris. But here we are, we're syncing up. The lights are turning red. And it's go, and Yogurt has had a great start. Strongest Avenger pulling in right into the slipstream with Crab right behind. Everyone's through cleanly so far as they rush down to turn 1. Strongest Avenger having a look on Yogurt, but deciding the better of it. Oh, and he's almost gone on the back of Yogurt. He's having to take evading action again in this race. He's having to go to the escape road.
Yeah, I'll have to give that position back to Yogurt. So the smart choice there, instead of causing a collision, taking the escape route and just holding on to P2 there. Everyone seems to be through safely so far, so no contact into turn 1. Good start for Monza.
Yeah, as the Strongest Avenger is right behind. Oh no!
There is contact in the background now. I believe that could be George Ionidas.
I think it was WRC Animal. WRC Animal.
Oh, Big Wilk and WRC Animal it was, coming together there in the second chicane. So 2 names that we expected to be up near the top 5 are now having to fight from the back as WRC Animal's off into the sand at Lesmo 2. See if he needs to pit after that collision, whether he's got too much damage to continue for the rest of the sprint race.
Yeah, that's the thing with these cars. If you get at the slightest bit of damage, it's so hard to control these cars with the suspension damage. But just look who it is pulling out in the top 3. You got Yogurt, Strongest Avenger, and Crab pulling a gap to P4 and Ass Turbo. But the Strongest Avenger also does have a time penalty from a 2-second time penalty after cutting the first turn.
Yeah, it's going to cost him towards the end, I believe, if it comes down to it. If Crab can stay close enough to him within that 2-second window. So far as Yogurt and Strongest Avenger pulling a bit of a gap now to Crab. There's another gap back to Ass Turbo, but here we have Deophile battling with JJ.
They're not going to go 3 wide into turn 1. Well, one of them was sensible enough to pull out of it.
Yeah, we see JJ pulling out there, tucking in behind Deophile. But then looking on the inside of the second half of the chicane, but losing it on the exit. So JJ off into the grass, managed to get back on, losing a couple of positions there as he tried to put the move onto Deofal, but not letting it stick.
Yeah, just got a bit too rash on the right pedal and spun up the wheels and went onto the grass, but he managed to get her back gathered together and hold it onto the road. But our man Clank up to P6 after starting 11th. He's doing a great drive so far. And Boris as well in P5, pushing Ass Turbo around the track. Ass Turbo under pressure from Boris, who had a fantastic race. As Clank gets very shaky out of the second Lesmo, and he's lost the drive down to the Ascari.
He lost the drive, but he could have lost a whole load more there as he goes a bit sideways coming out the corner. Did very well to keep hold of that there and not lose more than just positions. He's going into Ascari, he gets the run on Deofal, who has to slow down while he's battling with Stefan Carey. So we see now the pack spread out. Yogurt and Strongest Avenger bumper to bumper, a gap to Crab, then the gap to Boris, and the big trainer cars after Boris down to P10.
Yeah, Boris actually got past that turbo and all that commotion going into Ascari. As we do, Clank and Stefan Carey now. These two always seem to be battling together, very near on track, even in pre-season testing. As Clank goes around, tries to go take to the left to around the outside of Carey, as he just had the drive. This is the power of the slipstream at Monza. This is what we were trying to say in qualifying. As Carey tries to hold the inside lane and claim the apex, but Clank goes around the outside. A very safe move, to be fair.
Yeah, the move was done there by Clank on the straight. Great job coming out of Parabolica. Just get the drive and stick with Stefan Carey and get the move done before turn 1. So he moves himself up to P6 now. As see if he can chase down the Boris and As Turbo in 4 and 5. As Stefan Carey looks to make another move on Clank going into the second chicane, and Stefan Carey gets through. So
and we've missed the jump for the lead. Strongest Avenger has taken the lead. This is what we've been talking about. We knew that Strongest Avenger was up for the challenge for the championship, and now Jorgurk is under pressure to take the lead back. Although there is that 2 seconds, but we'll not worry about that until the end of the race.
The Strongest Avenger showing he's got the capability. Let's see how he gets on now, if he can try and pull that gap from Jorgurk, but can't see it happening too easy. Jorgurk gets a great exit out of Ascari. May have had to lift there to stop the collision, but goes side by side now, heading down to Parabolica. Hard to tell from this angle who's got the run.
Here. Strongest has got the inside, but Jorgurk will have the better drive out of the corner, as Strongest is going to have to hold inside line. But Jorgurk should have a better drive out of the corner.
And Jorgurk around the outside at Parabolica, but going down to turn 1 now. Let's see if Strongest Avenger can get his nose into the first chicane. This is a fantastic racing by these two guys. Strongest Avenger pulls out. I think he's got himself alongside at least. Going to try to move into turn 1 now with the inside.
This is what we were robbed of at Rapuna after the lap 1. But it's great to see them absolutely nose to tail. Jorgurk and Strongest Avenger going at it. Jorgurk's been wanting someone to challenge him, and Jorgurk, we found him.
Head down now to the second chicane again. Doesn't look like Strongest Avenger has quite a run here. Just stay. No, he is going to go for the move. Late on the braking, locks up a little, but gets the move done. Strongest Avenger takes the lead back into the second chicane again. Oh, how many lead changes are we going to have this race?
We're only in lap 4 and we've already had 3. Brilliant stuff. Strongest Avenger, that's the second time out of the second Lesmo he had a bit of a wobble. But he managed to gather it together, and he's right behind Jorgurk now. As he goes tries to take around the outside of Ascari. I'm not sure if that's going to work, but it is the racing line. Jorgurk decides to try and defend the corner, but it doesn't really work as Strongest Avenger goes around the outside and is now back in the lead.
I believe that's the other way around. It's Jorgurk in the lead now. It's Jorgurk in the lead. It was Jorgurk behind Strongest until that point. So now it's Jorgurk took the lead through Ascari, and Strongest Avenger looking to go down the inside of Jorgurk into Parabolica. But as we saw last time, Yogurt had the better line on the outside, the better drive. But side by side again through Parabolica, and Yogurt just edges a slight bit ahead, but Strongest Avenger will have the inside line going down to turn 1 as they are side by side over the line. Nothing separating these two so far as we're 5 laps into this 11 lap race.
Yeah, the clock literally says 0, 0, 0 as they cross the line. Absolutely nothing separating these two.
There's contacts! Someone's lost the tyre!
Yogurt's lost the wheel! Yogurt's going to be out of the race! This is how easy it is to damage these cars, and he's lost the wheel. He's retired from the race.
That is so unfortunate for Yogurt. I didn't believe that full damage was on, but it appears it is. And Yogurt is out of the race due to that contact with Strongest Avenger. That is so unfortunate after the great battle they were having. Strongest Avenger locks up into the second chicane and has to straight line it over those curbs.
I do believe Strongest Avenger must have some damage as well, because the car doesn't want to slow down now.
Yeah, I imagine his front end took some damage from that.
It didn't even look to be that strong of contact. It just seemed to hit it at the right angle. But that's just what I was saying in qualifying. These cars are so easily damaged. But
that's Crab off. Crab is off in second place.
Oh, Crab's off in P2. Oh, absolute scenes here at Monza. Is that?
And that's a very damaged Crab.
Yeah, JJ almost hit the wall. Oh, see, so much action, lads.
I believe Crab may have to pit, but it's only an 11 lap race. You try and nurse that to the end the best you can. I mean, he's still in P8. If he only drops 2 more positions, he gets pole for the next race. But that was a huge contact with the wall for Crab there out of Lesmo 2, getting very loose. As through a Scari, he can't even make it.
But what do you do now if you're Strongest Avenger? Do you carry on or do you pit?
I think you have to carry on. He's got a 4-second gap to Boris, and it doesn't seem too bad for him.
Well, his last lap was a 57, and Boris's was a 52. He will get caught by Boris if he keeps doing them lap times.
I think Strongest may have slowed down to let Yogurt back pass after the contact before realising that a tyre was lost in that contact, and he couldn't really let Yogurt back pass at that point. So see this next lap whether there is a time difference. Currently 4 and a bit seconds separating the top 2. But As Turbo also putting a lot of pressure on Boris now.
But you can see, you know, Crab has decided to pit to fix the damage. But I'm not sure. I don't know what he can get out of this apart from maybe 1 or 2 the points that for 14th place, because I can't imagine anyone else is going to be pitting with only 6 laps remaining.
Yeah, I believe the points do go down to 20th place, so it's worth finishing, even if it's having a pit stop of 5 minutes to get back out and just finish the race. You do claim those precious points, which may make all the difference at the end of the season. But we see Clank now still fighting with Stefan Carey as he gets loose out of Lesmo 2.
Yeah, Clank now in a Celtic Lamb Bromance sandwich. That's the 3 Celtic Romance drivers. This is what we were talking about last week. It's basically Red Bull versus AlphaTauri.
Again, we will not say who is who, but what we do know is it is some inter-team rivalry here between Stefan Carey and Clank.
Yeah, these guys are all part of the Celtic Romance team, shall we say, that me and Kiki are the owners, shall we say, and yeah, great bunch of lads, but definitely very hard racers.
Clank not going to have enough now into turn 1 here, I don't think, but As Turbo has got past Boris for P2. It looked like it was into turn 1 by where they are now. Yeah, into turn 1, As Turbo's got the move done. And they're now 5 seconds behind Strongest, so Strongest staying out. He's pulled at least a second from these second and third pair. So yeah, I don't think damage is bad enough for him to need to pit. He's going to just nurse that car to the end for the final 4 laps here. But yeah, Boris is not done yet.
Strongest's last lap was pretty much identical to As Turbo's, so he's holding the gap fine. But what scenes that could you imagine if we missed out on the stream? But yeah, Stefan Carey with a great drive, holding P4, but Clank is right there. He's slowly catching in the slipstream. Stefan Carey will be sweating bullets right now. And then you got WMDR Martin in the background. I was watching WMDR Martin in
There's
the
someone off in the background.
practice
Sorry to
session
interrupt, but
before.
I think WRC Animal has just gone off in the background. There he is. That's my 2 again, claiming another victim. As he drops out, I believe he was in 8th place and now down to 10th from that off-road excursion. So a few drivers seems to be struggling with the track today, especially out that corner. See if they take it any easier for the following race when it's double the distance, 22 laps for race 2. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to go for the next race. So
yeah, that's what I was saying when I was watching a few of the drivers in pre-season, or not pre-season testing, but in the practice session just before this, about an hour ago. A lot of the drivers were struggling for grip. They were just crashing a lot and through no fault. Well, just sliding wide and going on the grass and then spinning the wheels and ended up hitting the wall. But yeah, Dale found now in the slipstream with WMDR Martin and making Martin look in the mirrors, trying to make Martin into have an error. But Dare fell, not having the greatest drive out of that corner out of turn 2. MDR Martin keeping the position so far, but definitely one to watch before the race is over. There's 3 laps to go.
jump now to Clank, still chasing down Stefan Carey. Hasn't been able to get close enough to make a move yet, just staying with him, sticking with him through the slipstream, so it's looking a bit difficult so far for him to make a move.
And you could just see in the background as well that WMDR Martin had a huge moment coming out of the second chicane, and that has allowed DRFL even closer, as now he will be right in the slipstream as they head down to Ascari. But he will be safe for now, but Martin will be praying for a good Ascari here, or he will get passed into the final turn, as it's not the greatest. He's hanging on, but DRFL hasn't had the best exits either. So it's pretty much as you were. That's 2 by 2. You can see it there in the stream. You got Turbo Boris battling out for 2. You got Stefan Carey and Clank battling it out for 4th, and WMDO Martin and DRFL battling it out for 6th.
Yeah, a couple of battles going around all over the field at the moment. Hard to keep track of all of them, but further down we have Cameron B, and that's WRC Animal behind him at the moment. For WRC Animal's gone down even further now. He's in P12, was in P10, so maybe carrying damage from when he went off track before. But Clank now looking to make the move on the outside into turn 1, and he does. Clank takes the position from Stefan Carey to move himself up to P4 into turn 1. So we're on lap 9 of 11 so far of this race. Clank claiming P4 from Stefan Carey.
What a great move into turn 1. But I don't know, the slipstream's so powerful here, but now Stefan Carey's got the advantage, even though he is behind, and you can just tell, look, Carey's already making Clank look in the mirrors. I think if I was Clank, I would have held on for another lap, just to, or maybe even 2 laps, just to have the drive, or have the position on the last lap. But the roles have been reversed. Now Clank's looking in the mirrors and Stefan Carey's looking ahead, as Clank has a huge moment coming out of the first Lesmo. And Stefan Carey's going to be right there on his gearbox now as they head down down to Ascari underneath the bridge. Clank, is he going to defend the move, or is he just going to hold his race line? Stefan Carey makes him look.
Stefan Carey not quite having the run on him that he needed, but we'll see how they have the exit out of Ascari now. Both seem to have a decent exit there, but as we've seen before, the slipstream plays a huge part in this race. As further in the background, looks to be a move going on with WMDR Martin and Deophile as they go side by side down this back straight towards Parabolica. Deophile taking the outside line, WMDR Martin defending the inside.
Yeah, WMDR Martin taking the safe route, holding a tighter line. But on that final turn, if you hold the outside line, you can get up to speed faster, so that you can gain all that speed right down the straight. But so yeah,
Looks like
DRFL
DFL's
now
getting it done.
just gets the move made before the braking zone, but MDR Martin will be on the inside for turn 1. Who's going to come out on top here? Yeah, Martin claims the apex and takes back the position.
Well defended there by Martin. Could have easily lose that position there as he had a poor exit out of Parabolica, but holds on to P6 for another lap. The Clank now still just 6/10 ahead of Stefan Carey. This battle's going to go down to the wire. No room for any errors on this track. One poor exit is enough.
As Clank is almost 3/10 up on his fastest lap. He's feeling the pressure, but he's not making any mistakes yet. And Boris in P3 has dropped back a little bit from Mass Turbo. Not a hell of a lot, it was only about 8/10 of a second. But slowly falling behind with a lap and a half remaining. As Turbo, Strongest Avenger out in front. Not really pulling much of a gap. His last lap was a 1:53, but he does have that 2 seconds of a penalty. But I think it'll be fine because As Turbo's 5 seconds behind, so he will take the win unless there's a steward inquiry.
Yeah, that collision with Yogurt ending that battle for first place.
As soon as we missed the move, Stefan Carey's made a move on Clank and got the position back. P4. Clank in the slipstream now as they head down to turn 1. Stefan Carey deciding to defend early, telling Clank that he's willing to risk them crashing. As Clank takes the inside line for turn 1. Stefan Carey, can he hold it around the outside? He makes it move. Oh, but he just loses out. This is the final. This is the last lap.
Yeah, Stefan Carey just
almost made the move stick.
Yeah, it's coming out of the second part of the chicane there. I think Stefan Carey just thought of the long term and went no collision here and let Clank back through for the second half of it. He could have just put his foot down to drive Clank towards the outside, but decided against it and stuck himself back into P5. Maybe thinking if he got the move done before the start finish line last lap, he can get it done again this lap.
Yeah, but look at Stefan Carey's making Clank look all in his mirrors. He's making sure Clank isn't looking ahead. He's trying to pressurize Clank into making it a mistake on the last lap. Stefan Carey has had a great race so far, and he's right in the slipstream now, heading down to Ascari. Can he get the move made before they cross the line? This is the final lap of the race, of the sprint race.
Clank compromising his entrance to Ascari. It may affect his exit here as Carey takes the racing line.
Oh, it's definitely affected his speed as they head down towards the final turn. Here comes Stefan Carey. The battle for P4.
Going to stay behind for the toe for as long as he can and only pull out at the last second to make the move done as Carey goes towards the outside, which you know is the faster line around here from previous attempts. But can he get the move done on the exit? It doesn't look like he's got the pace here. It looks like Clank has held on for 4th place, but an amazing battle by those guys. Strongest Avenger taking the win. As Turbo takes 2nd place. Boris claiming 3rd. Then Clank defending from Stefan Carey on that last lap to take 4th. Carey in 5th. WMDR Martin taking 6th, but we see JJ's dropped back to 10th place. Not sure what happened to JJ there, but Voodoo taking 7th. Big Wilk after the early collision comes back to P8, which will give him a good start for race 2. Cameron B now coming through Parabolica to claim 9th place. And JJ follows suit to
JJ
round
actually
up.
has no front wing, so that damaged, wounded JJ on the final lap. It's interesting to see what transpired with JJ. And there's Keyboard Blondie. I'm pretty sure Keyboard Blondie will be disappointed with that there. He showed a good pace in the first round at Rapuna.
Yeah, getting the 11th place as well is not where you want to be, with the top 10 being reversed for the next race. As the WRC Animal had missing a front wing also, with a few incidents. Here we are with our final running for race 1. Strongest Avenger having a great battle with Yogok until that collision in turn 1 to take Yogok out of the race. As Turbo and Boris taking 2nd and 3rd, rounding up our podium. Clank with a fantastic drive with Stefan Carey, finishing 4th and 5th respectively. WMDR Martin finishing 6th. Voodoo 7th. Big Wilk 8th. Cameron B is 9th. And JJ is 10th.
Yeah, in P11 we got Keyboard Blondie, and then in P12 you got WRC Animal, and then in 13th I'd say it'd be a very disappointed Crab. 14th we got Darefowl, and 15th Yogurt, who will be very gutted about that race. Only managing to do 4 laps until he was only had 3 wheels on his wagon. And then in 16th you had Dunder, and then in 17th, last but not least, Mr. Ferret.
Yeah, we're getting reports from JJ's garage that is blowing the front wing, the front left suspension, and the radiator on lap 10. So that's what dropped him down the order towards the end there. But luckily holding on to 10th place, so he will start from that pole position spot for race 2.
Just about. He's a lucky boy. But yeah, fantastic racing so far tonight. I'm going to ask you this again. Who was your race, driver of the race?
Driver of the race, that race. I think just because of the battle we saw on track, for the most part, Clank holding off Stefan Carey was impressive to see. We know both of those guys have a really good amount of pace and high amount of racecraft, and it's good to see those guys battle that out. And since Clank came out on top, it goes to him for me.
Yeah, I would have to agree. To be fair, it was just phenomenal how close these guys were getting, and there was no contact whatsoever. But yeah, it's great to see it. Very respectful racing, and plus as well, they're all Celtic Romance boys, so it's great to see it.
No amount of bias was given in this choice. But while we wait for the second race to begin, let's have a quick look at our league calendar. So we're currently at Monza GP for race 2 of the season. Next week takes us to Red Bull Ring, another fantastic track. One of my favourite tracks, I believe, on Project Cars 2. It's good fun to drive there. And then following that, we'll be at Silverstone, followed by Brands Hatch to round up our Great British double header. And finally, we'll head to Germany for Hockenheim GP for the final race of the season. But with that, we will go to a break, and we'll be back in approximately 5 minutes to start race 2. See you shortly. and welcome back to race 2 for the Project Cars Formula C AOR series at Monza GP. We are currently waiting for the drivers to form up, as this will be a rolling start with a reverse grid order for the top 10 of the previous race, which is why we see JJ, who finished 10th last race, is starting from pole position. So, that first race, so much action going on track. It's hard to keep up with it all, but we tried our best, and what a race it turned out to be.
Yeah, so much action that we actually managed to miss half of it. But yeah, for some reason Voodoo has carried on. I'm not sure why, unless he's got damage and now he's going to come around and go to the pits.
Right, possibly. They shouldn't really be going around, but where did they finish in the race? It was 7th place. So, yeah, unless it was damage, I can't see what other reason they'd had to be going around at the moment.
Well, everyone else is on the forming up, so should be fine.
Yep.
But yeah, so we got Big Wilk in P4. I'm expecting big things from Big Wilk in this race. WMDR Martin in P5, and then you got Stefan Carey in 6th, and then Clank in 7th, followed by Boris, Ass Turbo, and then Strongest Avenger, our race winner, in P10. It will be interesting to see what Jorger can do in this race, because it's basically the roles have been reversed from last weekend.
Yeah, with Jorger starting at the back and Strongest in 10th this race. Last weekend we had Jorger starting in 10th and Strongest Avenger starting from the back, so very interesting to see if Strongest Avenger can make his way through the field in the same way Jorger did. But last week he didn't really manage to do that in race 2, even once he got back to like P10, but maybe it's just easier to get it done on the first few laps than it is in the later laps. So we'll see what he can do today.
Yeah, definitely, and you can see that Voodoo is currently in the pits, and he's just left the pits actually. So I'm not sure what his plan is, because now he's a lap ahead of everyone. But
yeah, I'm sure Stefan Carey, our coordinator for tonight, will get all this sorted and make sure everyone starts in the position they should.
Yeah.
Maybe a case that they do a full formation lap now and go around again, as Voodoo may have to wait in the pit lane. Not sure exactly how it's going to work out, but I'm sure being organised in the voice comms to make sure that Voodoo doesn't start a whole lap ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, let's hope we can get it organised. I do see that he stopped at the side of the track now in turn 3, the Curva Grande.
Right, so yeah, he's going to be waiting for the rest of the guys to come round. They'll do another formation lap now, I believe, and then Voodoo will join in.
Yeah, so here is our actual P1 sitter, JJ, leading the pack around, just making sure his tyres and brakes are up to temperature, getting everything in the operating window.
It's also interesting to note that P1 and P2 are teammates, Team Latebirds, JJ and Cameron B, so we'll see if there's any team driving going on going into turn 1. If they just take up all the track, then nobody can get by them around turn 1. Might be the safest way for them to do it. We have someone in the chat asking if this is PS4. No, this is on PC at the moment. I'm not sure if there's any PS4 events or races going on. If you jump onto the forum, apexonlineracing.com/community, you can check on there for all the games we have on all the systems, whether it's Xbox, PS4 or PC, and that's the best place to get your information from. Go ahead, JP, sorry.
I've forgotten what I was going to say, sorry. But but yeah, it was just we're going to have another extra formation lap. JJ is going to take up his spot as the leader now, as he overtakes Voodoo. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm not sure where exactly Voodoo should be in the pack, if it's 4th or 5th, but we'll see. I think I should be 5th, because I'm pretty sure he was behind
Well, he finished P7 in the previous race, so
Well,
he should be starting P4. But we'll see if, because he pitted, whether he's going to sit there, which it seems like he has taken up his position in P4.
He's actually at a slight disadvantage now because he's been sitting there for so long with his temperatures and the tyres and brakes will have gone absolutely stone cold.
Yeah, he's going to have to work hard now to warm those back up. He doesn't need to do any weaving, but if he's riding that brake pedal, then that should do enough to warm those tyres up.
Yeah, just get the brakes up to temperature and let the heat radiate out into the tyres. He should be fine. But after the track seems to be pretty warm, so I'm sure after one racing lap, it should be up to temperature and everything should be hunky dory.
Yeah, I think I just saw a slight lock up there from Voodoo, so he's definitely going to be riding that brake pedal.
Yeah, you can tell by the way the car is handling that he is slightly riding the brake.
I think Big Wilk's got a good shot in this race. With him starting so high up in the order, if he can just jump JJ and Cameron early on, we know he's a strong driver. He had a 2nd place and a 3rd place finish in round 1. If he can just jump these first 2 early on and everyone else gets stuck in a bit more traffic than he does, he has a good chance to pull away and get a good start to this race.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Big Wilk has got to be one of the big contenders for this race tonight, for the feature race. But we're lined up 2 by 2.
Yeah, it'll be up to JJ to put his foot down when he wants to, as I go over the starting grid markers. Once JJ puts his foot down, that will signal the start of the race. Holding them for a long time here. I don't think he wants to go too early and allow anyone with slipstream, and now he puts the hammer down. That's a great start there. So does Cameron. All the top 3 having decent starts from that rolling start. Keeping the order pretty spread out on the top half. We come hurtling down to turn 1 now, but I think Big Wilk's already got himself around Cameron down the inside into turn 1. Cameron holding on to P3 though, with Clank looking... sorry, that was WMDR Martin looking down the inside. But still running in the same order for the top 3. WMDR Martin got himself up to P4 ahead of Voodoo as they come round Curva Grande. With Big Wilk looking to make a move on JJ early on. As we're speaking about pre-race, if Big Wilk gets this jump now, he has a very good chance of just pulling away before any of the other faster drivers can get any distance to him. As Cameron misses the corner, having to go over the big sausage curbs to get himself back on the track. He will give that position back to WMDR Martins. Boris also doing the same, but dropping way back compared to everyone else. Is there damage there, or is he just rejoining? Didn't see what happened to him there.
Not sure, but look at Yogurt already. Has made his way up to P10 and has already overtaken Strongest Avenger as someone's hit the wall. Not sure who that was. I think it was...
Could be Crab, or...
It was Crab. It's Crab again. At the 2nd Lesmo, losing control and hitting the wall really quite hard. He's lost his front wing. He will unfortunately have to pit to repair that damage, because Monza, without a front wing, it's just pretty impossible.
See someone going through the sand there. I'm not sure that's recovering. Like Cameron, I believe. Yeah, Cameron B going wide up.
It is Cameron.
Sorry.
But it's unfortunate he's already lost. There's collisions happening.
That might just be on your screen, because I'm not seeing any collisions going down that straight there. Everyone seems to get through fine. As same for Big Wilk now. Oh, there's someone sideways in Parabolica. It's one of the Celtic Bromance too. Oh, there's another collision as George and Stephen Carey come together, and George is now on his roof. Stephen Carey's not going to be very happy about that, as he's going to need to come into the pit lane now. George Ioannidis, also his car in ruins. See a few cars entering the pit lane. We got Crab, we got Mr. Ferret, who would have been that Celtic Bromance driver sideways across the track at Parabolica. We'll have Stephen Carey, and we'll also see George Ioannidis come into the pits to repair that damage.
That's really unfortunate for George Ioannidis, but that's the 2nd time in 2 race events that he's been upside down.
It is.
Last week at at last week at Rapuna and New Zealand, he was upside down as well and had to retire from the race.
This time he found the button for resetting to track, so at least he has a chance now to battle for positions. But back up to the front of the race, we've got Keyboard Blondie sitting in P9, defending from WRC Animal. As both of them go wide, with WRC getting sideways, Keyboard just bringing it back on the track and keeping it straight. Keeping it out of the wall, which is the main part, but losing a lot of time and a position there to get back on the track. Look further up the order now, Asturbo and Voodoo into Ascari. Asturbo getting the move done there to move himself up to P6. He's now chasing down Clank. That's a big Wilk, 3-second gap now to Yogurt, who's got himself to P2. Is 3 seconds enough for Big Wilk to hold on for the rest of this race? As we see Strongest Avenger again struggling to actually battle his way through traffic, sitting in P7, only gaining 3 positions, while Yogurt went from P15 up to P2 in the same amount of time. A huge train of cars coming down to P1. Asturbo looking on the inside of Clank, but thinks better of it and tucks back in. No move on there at the moment. Also has to think about getting the decent exits so Strongest Avenger doesn't make his way through, so can't force anything too drastically without risking losing that position, which he may end up losing anyway, as Strongest Avenger looks down the inside of Curva Grande to head down to the second chicane. Asturbo will have the inside line, but has he got the move done before the corner's even there? Strongest Avenger into P6, he has the strongest there. A good exit out of turn 1 and chicane, and gets himself past Asturbo.
Yes, a move that's as clean as you like for a Strongest Avenger. Up to P6 now, Clank is ahead of him. But WMDO Martin sitting in P4 has got JJ right ahead. Can he make a move and grab that podium spot that he has been wanting for so long? He unfortunately in the first round in the first 2 races of the season, he had 2 DNFs because of damage. He just didn't get to finish the races, but he's got a great, fantastic drive through Ascari. He's going to be right on JJ here as they head down to the final turn. Yeah, JJ's already realised this and he's gone defensive, but Martin's going to have the outside line, the faster line, to take it around the final corner. He's going to be carrying more speed. Hopefully JJ can carry the speed as well. But JJ had a slight moment.
Fantastic move from
WMDR Martin.
Yeah, around the outside of Parabolica seems to be working tonight as it gets into P3, as you say. But Strongest Avenger now also looking on the inside of JJ, going down towards turn 1. But Martin having to defend actually, because both of them were gaining so much on Martin as they're going nearly 3 wide. But no, they think better of it and shuffle back into order as Martin misses.
Martin's gone slightly
second
deep.
Corner. He's going to lose the position of Strongest.
Injured up to P3 now. But this pack will battle because they're all in the slipstream together. Yogurt will be only battling Big Wilk for the lead. But can Strongest Avenger pull these guys with him? As we can see JJ now locking up the inside of Strongest Avenger. As they get it slowed down in time.
JJ locking up a little and getting a bit loose through the corner will hold up the rest of that pack and give a little bit of breathing room now for Strongest Avenger to try and chase down Yogurt. He's 5 seconds behind. But Yogurt within a second of Big Wilk now, closing that gap rapidly for P1.
Yeah, you can visibly see that the gap, this is the battle for the lead. Big Wilk, he could potentially be in the running for the championship if he keeps his nose clean throughout the season. But will he decide to fight Yogurt on this? Or because you can tell within the last couple of corners he's already lost 3 tenths. Yogurt is absolutely flying in this in the feature race tonight.
Yeah, it's a very difficult track to keep people behind you. The length of the straights and the slipstream, sometimes you just don't have a choice but to yield the position to them. As Big Wilk goes very wide at Parabolica, gets on the green stuff, losing out on that camber and loses a position to Yogurt in the same time. So Yogurt makes himself up to P1 as they start lap 7.
But the move isn't safe. Big Wilk's right in the slipstream. He has to look up the inside of Jogurk. Can Big Wilk take the lead back? He's got the inside line for turn 1. Either in the braking zone, Jogurk's decided to go deep, but he just makes the corner. And he takes Apex's too. He gets very slightly coming out of turn 2, but that's the way Jogurk likes it. And he's grabbed the lead. And that's Big Wilk down to P2. But I'm sure he won't be upset with that there, as Strongest Avenger still sitting in P3. He's got a bit of a gap behind now of 4 seconds, so I'm pretty sure the pack behind has they must have had an incident as he's had his ass turbo, and JJ goes side by side into the second chicane as Clank is looking to make moves as well. Fantastic stuff. They're keeping it clean through the second chicane. But look at JJ already making ass turbo look in the mirrors. Ass turbo not phased. And W. Martin and Clank absolutely knows the gearbox.
Yeah, it's a great train. This is pretty much a carbon copy. Who's that off ahead? Is that one of the lead drivers? I believe that was Big Wilk. Big Wilk had off at Lesmo 2 and is now caught up by this bunch and is thrown to the back of it instantly as they head down towards Ascari. The Big Wilk down to P7 now after having an off and such a strong start, and got himself to P2. Unfortunately, didn't work out for him this time.
Yeah, and all that commotion, Ass Turbo's lost 2 positions to JJ and Clank, as he hasn't had a great drive out of the Ascari either, as WRC Animal gets P5 of Ass Turbo. Ass Turbo lost in three positions in his phase of corner, sorry. As WRC Animal goes very drifty around the last corner.
See, I don't think this is going to get resolved anytime soon. At least not until this first corner here.
Definitely not. They're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. Could they make it 4? They're looking to make it 4 wide into turn 1. This is absolute madness.
As Turbo taking the inside line, trying to follow through Big Wilk. As there's no contact under braking. Great driving by these guys. And they make it out perfectly around the first chicane. And the order being of this group, we've got Big Wilk, WRC Animal, As Turbo, Clank and WMDR Martin. This train of 5 cars. It's unrelenting battling going on here. As Big Wilk now having to defend from WRC Animal into the second chicane.
It's 2 by 2. This is fantastic stuff. This is what we want to see in AOR. This is why we've all signed up. This is why we race. You don't see many times four cars go 4 wide into the turn 1 of Monza and come out unscathed.
Incredible driving by these guys. WRC Animal getting the position to 3rd ahead of Big Wilk. But you see now he's got quite a gap now even to Big Wilk, who's now going to lose another position to As Turbo, heading down to Ascari. Clank might be looking as well, but deciding the better of it there, tucking into the faster line to try and get the better exit. So Big Wilk compromising his corner there to try and defend. Will he still be able to keep ahead of As Turbo going down towards Parabolica?
And I think in the background Clank will had a bad exit there, so MWR Martin will be right behind Clank. He's right on him here. We can see MDR Martin is making him having a look. But as you were so far into the final corner. But as you can tell now, As Turbo.
But Clank going wide in Parabolica and losing the position to MDR Martin. But he will get the better run down to turn 1 and might be able to get the move done back on him. But both of these cars slowly catching up to As Turbo down this straight. Are they going to go 3 wide into turn 1 again? Clank deciding, does he want inside, outside? Decides better of it and tucks behind As Turbo for the outside line. Try and get the better exit again to try and get the run. But WMDR Martin getting the move done there on Clank.
I'm surprised that Big Wilk hasn't lost that much straight line speed after the crash, but he seems to be still there with the lads. But it's an amazing battle for P4, sorry, P3 even. The 5 of these.
Is that a front wing?
There seems to be debris. Someone's lost a rear wing.
And that's a car that's been flipped. Is that Big Wilk? Big Wilk has been flipped, I believe. Clank may have made contact after Big Wilk spun. And Big Wilk is on his roof. He should be able to reset if he has a reset button. If not, he may be out of this race.
we'll head back to the action, but let's have a look at Clank to see if he has any damage. He's seen.
Clank seems okay.
But that's absolutely insane. Yeah. WRC Animal now. And MD Oliver Martin and Ass Turbo, Clank and DRFL taking up P7.
But that is someone in the barrier. Is that WMDR Martin getting loose in Ascari and losing it? It is. So this pack of 4 is now down to a pack of 2. Or even 5 it was to begin with, down to a pack of 2. It was too good to last. But
it was too good to last. But absolutely insane driving. That's WR Martin here now trying to make a move on Darefeld to try and reclaim his positions that he was sitting in earlier. We'll have a look at Clank. Can Clank make a move on Ass Turbo? And turn 1, Clank pulls out of the slipstream. He's got the inside lane, but earlier on in the race, he's already got the move made. Ass Turbo's backed out of it. Clank taking the apex for the first and second corners and absolutely fully deserved taking up P4 as Yogurk has just got a time penalty of 2 seconds. This is just what we wanted to see for Strongest Avengers team. He'll definitely be wanting to see that there, even though the gap is still 4 seconds.
Yes, brought that down. It was a 5 second gap, and now it's down to 4. So Strongest is gaining on Yogurk slowly.
Yeah, his last lap was 7/10 of a second faster. Sorry, Strongest Avenger putting pressure on Yogurk, and the pressure is clearly showing you on Yogurk as he must have cut a corner somewhere to gain that time penalty. But okay, we're halfway through the race almost. Time to take a little breather.
Yeah, cars have settled down into a bit of order.
Take it out of me.
The cars are settled into some sort of order now, but Ass Turbo still in touch and distance of Clank, but I'm sure Clank is happy to see that the field around him has become a bit more clearer now and a bit easier to drive through. Instead of the chaos of a 5-way battle that was going on in previous laps. But we'll see if these guys, this will be interesting to see if Ass Turbo decides to work with Clank to chase down WRC Animal. The lap times last lap were 2 seconds slower, but I'm sure if these guys work together they could slipstream tow each other to catch back up for that P3 spot together.
Yeah, WRC Animal, his last lap was a 52.8, so he's not slacking off. He's almost similar speeds to Strongest Avenger. So yeah, he's doing a great job of trying to keep the gap to Clank and Ass Turbo. But it's as you were so far, as Clank takes a slight shortcut there over turn 2. And
I think he will get away with that one. It seemed not the worst cut I've seen in this game before. So hopefully nothing comes a penalty his way. Look further down the order, P10, there seems to be some close JJ and Cameron teammates both starting first and second in this race, down to 10th and 11th now. See if these guys decide to battle hard with each other or push their way up the order to try and catch with Voodoo.
And it looks that Ass Turbo must have had a moment because he's down in P8 now, and he's just been overtaken by Keyboard Blondie. But this is action all over the grid. There's all over the track. We hardly know where to look half the time. We'll jump back to Cameron B and JJ, the two teammates who started this race first and second, but just didn't have the look of it. And slight mistakes and contact was made, and they've ended up in P10 and P11, battling it out. Still great points to be had for the season. But I'm pretty sure they would have rather to be still up in the top ranking spots. But I'm sure they can get, as Cameron B gets very squirrely as they exit of Ascari.
Yeah, that one seemed a bit more of a track cut there, so Cameron may be picking up a penalty here for that cut, but he does have a large gap back to Boris behind him, so hopefully he's going to be safe for that one. As Voodoo now behind Ass Turbo. Can Voodoo do anything? We've not seen much of Voodoo yet this race or previous race, but looking to make a move on Ass Turbo and get it done very early on in this straight.
Yeah,
So
I'm pretty sure Ass Turbo has got damage, because you can tell that even with the slipstream from the cars that he had from Keyboard Blondie and all, that he just couldn't keep up. So I think Ass Turbo must have some serious damage that's costing him on the streets. But we'll see if he can keep up with Voodoo now. But it's not like Ass Turbo to be making these mistakes. Normally he's really solid. But I don't know, maybe it's the heat of Monza that's getting him. It's the pressure
yeah,
of all this fantastic racing midfield.
Asturbo not finishing outside the podium yet so far in the 3 races we have this season, so he will not be happy sitting in P9 right now.
Yeah, definitely. We have got 10 laps remaining. And as it's Yogurt still has his 2-second time penalty, the strongest Avenger. The gap sitting at 4.5 seconds, fluctuating around 4 to 4.5 seconds over the lap. WRC Animal now sitting in P3. He's got the track, he's got no one ahead of him and no one behind him, and he will be quite happy to sit in P3 for the next 10 laps. But I can't see Clank, this man right here, heading into the final turn now in the braking zone, I can't see him being happy with sitting in P4. He will be wanting to make up to P3.
Both of these, in fact, a lot of these drivers now just in hot lap mode as the gaps are spread quite far out for the top 5. Just trying to put in fastest laps. There's no battling going on, just as fast as you can try and catch the guy ahead. But such huge gaps, it's going to be tough to bring them down when these drivers are so similarly paced. Keyboard Blondie has entered the pit lane and picked up a penalty. Is that a speeding in the pit lane penalty?
Let's have a look. He's got a 10-second penalty.
That to me says it was a speeding in the pit lane as Keyboard Blondie comes for some repairs, I presume.
As so does Cameron B. Maybe they had it coming together, but we've missed on the on track. But yeah, that's quite unfortunate. Keyboard Blondie has already left the pit stop, so it was a pretty quick pit stop. Not sure why, because there's not a mandatory pit. But they'll carry on and we'll see what happens. JJ now in P9 has caught onto the back of Ass Turbo.
Yeah, Ass Turbo just going backwards the way it stands. Like you say, I'm pretty sure he must have got damage to be as far back as he is and still losing positions. So I think he's also let through Stephen Carey, who is a lap down currently, trying to unlap himself and get his way back up the order, but it's a long ass to get from P15. As Carey spins, coming out of Lesmo 2. So after damage on the first lap, he's now also spun and hit the barrier again. It's unfortunate there for Stephen Carey. JJ coming out of Ascari. The gap to Ass Turbo is increasing too. Just outside of slipstream range, I believe, so I'm not sure if JP has disconnected, my fellow commentator. He is in control of the cameras, but it looks like we're going to be watching JJ for a while, as he's pulled a 3.5 second gap to Ass Turbo.
I have unfortunately disconnected.
I still hear you now on Discord, so hopefully you can jump back in the lobby, gain control of the cameras again for us.
Let's hope so. Hopefully if I get the correct role from the game. But yeah, sorry about that, viewers.
Okay, just looking at the timing chart now. Any battles going on ahead of JJ? There is WMDR Martin and Voodoo are pretty close on track. Hopefully JJ can catch up enough so we can take a peek at some of that battle going on as in the background. Ass Turbo getting sideways, so I feel the way Ass Turbo's dropped off the order, there has to be damage involved there. He's no way this far off the pace on usual standings. And Mr. Ferret in the pits now, which signals to me that JP is back and in control of these cameras. welcome back.
Hello there. Sorry about that, guys, but what can you do? A little bit of drama. So yeah, let's have a look at the MDR Martin sitting in P7. Coming on the exit of Ascari, closing down on Voodoo. And Jorgurk
is in the
pits. He's lost
no
his rear wing. And Monza has absolutely been a nightmare for this young man. And Clank as well is in the pits.
Without a front wing. So what have we missed here for this to have gone on? We had some sort of replay, but Strongest Avenger with a 20-second lead now back to WRC Animal. Definitely shake up the championship if Jorgurk fails to have a decent finish here as he drops further down. Currently in 9th place, still in the pit stop getting serviced.
He's in P10 now. I can't see him getting at the top 10 spots. He's going to be well down out of the points. And this is definitely going to be a round that he'll be wanting to forget. But it'll be Strongest Avenger will be rubbing his hands at this here. That the championship has just been blown wide open.
It has indeed. Jorgurk still in the pit lane and Clank also. Clank dropping down to 13th. So unfortunately we missed what happened there, sorry, but not looking good for our championship leader, who is now down 13th and out the pit lane. Strongest Avenger with a commanding lead after that 20-second lead.
Yeah, we got JJ here now having a look on MWR Martin for P5.
Yeah, Martin seems to have dropped the pace back
MWR Martin
from
will be
Voodoo.
quite happy with the top 5. Yeah, MWR Martin's last lap was 3 seconds slower than Voodoo's. Everyone back out on track now, but let's have a look at the timings. You've got Crab with 1 second, you've got Keyboard Blondie in P10 with 10 seconds, you've got Jorgurk with 2 and Cameron B with 1 second time penalty. As JJ gets the move on MWR Martin, as Martin does his best to get back in the slipstream for turn 1, but it's not going to happen. They both go and managed to take it okay.
So JJ getting the better of WMDR Martin there. Martin drops down to 6th place. I'd say want to be fighting for that top 5 spot. He's not going to let it go too easily.
Yeah, for sure, he's going to be right there. And as you can see, if we watch now, JJ, the P4 has been reeled in. The battle for P4 has come alive. Voodoo, JJ, and Martin all battling it out with only 6 laps remaining. As you can see in the background, Jorgurk has already made his way back up from P13 to P11 after that pit stop. I'm not sure what we can expect from Jorgurk at this stage of the race, but he is incredibly fast, so maybe a top 10 isn't out of reach for him. As Keyboard Blondie again is in the pits. He's having a bit of a nightmare, but yeah, the battle for P4 here. Voodoo, JJ, Martin, as they head down towards the last corner. Voodoo will be hoping to just defend for the next 6 laps, but that's a huge ask at Monza with the slipstream so powerful. That's a huge ask.
JJ now within that second, the magical 1 second you need to be for the slipstream. Going to get it all the way down to turn 1 now, but WMDR Martin a bit off from JJ, so Martin will drop away for a bit if he can try and pull it back ready for the next lap. Get within that 1 second for the slipstream.
Yeah, but the beauty about Martin being behind is that these guys, if they ever do make a move on each other, that'll cost them time to make the pass, and Martin should be able to close up on them to make it another three-way battle. So it's not lost for Martin just yet.
Yeah, still plenty of opportunities as we get into the final 5 laps here. JJ looking and tucks back in, just trying to make Voodoo sweat a little, and does make Voodoo sweat, but can't take advantage of it, JJ. Voodoo there nearly missing the second part of the chicane. Like you said, these guys start battling. Martin is now down to 1.2, 1.3.
Yeah, the gap is closing already. That's the thing. If these guys were teammates, they would know to not battle and just look ahead and actually use each other's slipstream to try and pull a gap to Martin. But they're not, so they will be battling for this position for P4 because with the competition it is, how strong the field is, you really don't know when the next time you could be battling for a P4 or a P3. It's as you can see that JJ has had a great exit out of Saskari, and they're now side by side as there's slight contact.
JJ with the inside, Voodoo on the outside, but I think JJ's got the move done here. We'll see going down to turn 1, as we've seen before, the slipstream and the exit out of Parabolica is seen so much at this track. But JJ holding the inside line, taking the shortest line he can down to turn 1, not giving Voodoo any chance. Staying defensive, forcing Voodoo to the outside. I think JJ's definitely got the position there. Makes it cleanly into turn 1, and JJ moves himself up to P4.
Yeah, Voodoo's still there. He's still riding the slipstream. I'm surprised Martin's actually dropped back so much now. But maybe he's got his own problems. But it seems to be a 2-horse race now for P4, JJ and Voodoo. Voodoo making JJ look in the mirrors, but JJ not bothering, just staying on the racing line, taking a bit too much curb there and costing him in his exit speed as Voodoo is right on his gearbox heading into the first Saskari.
A great battle these guys are having here. What we expect from Monza is a lot of switching. There's WM Martin going wide out of Lesmo 1 there, but I think he held on to it and kept it going, but that's going to drop him now quite far off this battle now for P3.
Yeah, you can see in the background that he managed to just gather it together.
Apologies, battle for P4 as with JJ now coming into Ascari. All important exit of Ascari.
Yeah, you can see JJ realizes the danger from Voodoo. Does his best to stay on the racing line. Voodoo sticking on the slipstream. As JJ takes a bit of too much curb there, in my opinion, but Voodoo carrying this extra speed around the outside, then slips back into the slipstream. And can he make a move now heading down to turn 1 as they come across the start-finish line? Is he gaining? The gap is slightly closing.
Not sure it's going to be enough going into turn 1 as Voodoo goes to the outside there. JJ staying on the inside again and defending that line. Gets himself around the first chicane and holds on to that position. But 3 laps remaining. Still plenty of time for Voodoo to get this move to stick.
Yeah, and we'll just take a quick look back at our our battle for P10. Yogurk, who has had an absolute nightmare of the sprint race and now the future race. He's got the gap close to P10. Can he grab it? He's in the slipstream of Dunder here. On the race down to turn 1. Dunder looks to be going quite defensive. But he won't be able to get it done into turn 1.
Won't get it done this early on, but he's almost 2 seconds a lap faster, and that almost always equates to an overtake at some point. He'll find an advantage and get his way through there before the end of this race.
Yeah, Yogurk is incredibly fast. It's crazy how this championship is unfolding, as it's literally the roles have been reversed from the first round to the second round for the 2 main title contenders, Yogurk and Strongest Avenger.
That is indeed true. Strongest Avenger having 2 great finishes so far. If it stays like this, and Yogurt having P15 and this battle now for P10, it's going to really hurt his championship fight. As now it seems to be the move's going to get done. A better exit of Lesmo, long straights with a slight kink down to Ascari. Thunder going to try and fight for it. I'm not sure he has a choice. I think Jogurt's got the move done, but he's got the move done before
the move's been made already.
Both of them get a bit squirrely on braking as they touch the grass, but Jogurt making it through, getting a clean exit from Ascari, and gets himself into the top 10 before the end of this race.
Yeah, that's P10 for Yogurt, but next up the road is Crab, his teammate, 9 seconds up the road. Voodoo and JJ, half a second between them, and it's still really close for P4. As Crab has just taken Ass Turbo.
Battle for P8. There are penalties involved in this battle, but Crab currently having the on-track advantage. As Turbo, I believe he still surely has the wounded car, but doing well to hold it into P9 if it is still damaged.
Yeah, for sure. And I do believe that there is a...
I was about to say that
did
did
not
look like the right livery, so that is Stefan Carey who is ahead of As Turbo. I looked at the deltas like that doesn't look like a second gap, and it was not, because that is Stefan Carey sitting in P14 after having several incidents this race, just not his race. But
sorry, we cut back as we've missed the swap for P4. Voodoo has got JJ. Has got P4 back off JJ, and the gap has grown a bit to just over a second. Voodoo has got 2 laps to hang on, or can JJ close the gap back down and grab back P4?
JJ must have having some sort of off at Ascari to lose 2 seconds to Voodoo that lap. Come down into turn 1 with 2 laps remaining.
Yep, strongest Avenger absolutely running away with this race, just very Yogurt-esque. WRC Animal will be over the moon with this P2. So were Dayarfile, to be fair. He hasn't been on the podium. I don't believe that. Definitely deserves this P3 today, keeping himself out of trouble. But this battle for P4, Voodoo and JJ going the whole 22 laps, right down to the wire.
Yeah, JJ's not done yet as he's got the gap within 0.3 of a second going through Lesmo 2. Still going to be looking at that position as Voodoo getting a poor exit.
Moment.
We'll see now, can JJ capitalise before Ascari, or just to sit behind and keep the pressure on. Voodoo having to keep this as clean as he can as JJ looks towards the inside but tucks back in for Ascari to keep on the racing line to try and make the run down to Parabolica, as JJ getting a bit loose on the right hander. Gonna lose him a bit of time.
Voodoo sees the danger from JJ. It's roles reversed from a few laps ago. Voodoo keeping it tight to the racing line, tight to the left. As JJ is in the slipstream now, he'll be right on the gearbox after this corner as long as he can get the braking zone done right, and he's in the acceleration now. As they head up towards the start finish line, the gap is closing. It's down to 0.3. Can JJ make a move? It's the gap is closing. It's seriously closing now. As he's right on the gearbox, there's a 1/10 between them. He's making a move into turn 1. He's got the inside line. He's braked later. Can he get it slowed up in time? He's had a slight lock up, but he's got it slowed down in time. But now Voodoo will have a better exit.
I think Voodoo may have had to lift a slight bit then to not go into the back end of JJ. So Voodoo not quite getting the exit he wants, but still right on his gearbox going towards the second chicane. Round Curva Grande. Which way round is it for Italians? I do not know. But going down now to the second chicane. JJ holding that lead and holding that P4. go over the sausage curb and going to surrender the position to Voodoo again as JJ makes a mistake, hits that sausage curb, and Voodoo makes his way through to take back P4 only moments after JJ made it move on him.
As your leader, your race winner, Strongest Avenger comes across the line. Sorry to cut away from the action there of P4, but Strongest Avenger, your race winner, and WRC Animal just got the final turn to take. And we'll cut back to the action.
Top few positions seem pretty locked in as DFR P3, and in the background you see now Voodoo and JJ.
This is what we want to see. They're absolutely going at it for the P4. We got Voodoo, JJ side by side. They've got one corner left, one braking zone, one acceleration zone. JJ up the inside, but can Voodoo carry this speed around the final turn, getting the slipstream, and it's a long drag to the start finish line. Can Voodoo get it? He's right in the slipstream. JJ's going really defensive. It's an absolute drag race to the line. They're side by side. It's never been closer. And JJ just gets it on the line. What an absolute hell of a finish.
There was nothing in between those guys. That was incredible by JJ to get that move done around Parabolica, as we see Martin finishing P6 just ahead of Boris. Finishes in P7, but JJ and Voodoo, give yourself a pat on the back for that. That was incredible battling for those final laps. There's Crab.
There's Crab taking up P8. The two teammates, 8th and 9th, not a great result for that, as Yogurt, absolutely disgusted, flips himself over on the line. Dunder taking up P10. As Turbo, not a great result for As Turbo either in P11. But what a fantastic race. But yeah, so it's roles reversed. It's as you were now. Strongest Avenger taking the win, taking both wins tonight, taking P1, WRC Animal in P2, Dayerfell taking up the 3rd spot in P3. JJ, absolute incredible finish to P4. Voodoo now P5, and then Martin in 6th. Boris in 7th, Crab in 8th with his teammate just behind Yogurt in 9th, and then in 10th, Thunder.
Following up the rest of the order, As Turbo, after taking damage, finishing P11, and the rest, I believe, all had to take pit stops. So Clank taking P12, Cameron P13, Stefan Carey getting involved in a few too many incidents that he would like, finishing 14th, Keyboard Blondie saw several times in the pits, 15th, Big Wilk having to retire along with Mr. Ferret. But what a race that was again! Like, there's so much action all the time in this race. It's crazy battling going on. Voodoo and JJ within a car length of each other for the end of that race.
Not even a car length, they were literally side by side. Oh, it was an incredible finish to an incredible race. But yeah, we need to have a look at the replays to see what happened to Yogurt, but he'll be just devastated with those results tonight. But I did say last week that he wouldn't have it all his own way this championship, and I was proven right that it's definitely the championship's got to be won yet. It's not over. But I'd also just like to say apologies for the technical difficulties during that feature race. But some things are just out of our hands. But we got there in the end.
We did indeed, and what a race we had. So we have a couple of guys here for an interview. I think first we'll bring in Yogurt, who had an absolute miserable time at it today. Yogurt not finishing in the top 10 either time. In fact, sorry, you finished 9th in that race and outside the top 10 in race 1 due to losing a wheel. Talk us through that race 1 until that collision with Strongest Avenger.
Well, first of all, last week I did tell you that I would not do as much practice, and now you can see the result.
Yeah.
This is what happened. Well, the first incident with Strongest Avenger, I think it was mostly just lag. He did say that he might have barely tapped me, but it should have been as bad as losing a whole wheel. And yeah, speaking about that whole wheel situation, it shouldn't have been turned on to full damage in the lobby. It was some sort of error by Stephen Carey, I think.
Just to
So
drop his name in it.
well, I mean, yeah, whatever. It was just a mistake. But at the end of the day, 2 people did have to retire because of that, because we lost wheels. Well, I mean, even if I wouldn't have lost that wheel, I think my rear wing was still off. So no matter what, I think I still would have basically finished last because would have to pit for damage and stuff. So yeah, that was pretty unlucky, and yeah, that was one of my most favorite fights I've ever had. Like, yeah, it's definitely gonna stay in my memory. I've
Yes.
had many fights, and yeah, honestly, at Monza it always works out really well because it's just a slipstream fest, and you cannot get away from each other. It's just constant fighting, going into turn one, just going side by side at all times, going for some cheeky dive bombs, and then just the guy just overtakes you back on the straight, and you just go back and forth like that, and it's just a really good fight. So yeah, I'm really sad. I'm mostly just sad that we couldn't continue the battle because we would have definitely went on till the last lap. So yeah, that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it was disappointing to see when that wheel came off, but it was incredible to watch up until that point. Race 2, we saw you out in the lead quite comfortably, and then suddenly needing to take a pit stop. We didn't catch it on stream. What happened?
Um, uh, for this one, I'm just gonna blame the lack of practice. Basically, I drove in Lesmo 2. There's this really nasty curb on the outside of the corner when you exit it. You take too much of it, and the car just gets really unsettled, and it can result in a spin quite oftenly. Basically, that's what happened. I spun, and I couldn't really correct it, and I hit the wall, and it gave me a lot of damage. So there was just no other choice but to pit, and yeah, then I somehow salvaged that P9. But uh, I think I'm done with the championship battle and stuff because I'm already going to be skipping the next round anyway. Because we have a national holiday here in Latvia, so we're gonna have to celebrate that. So I'll just be here for the fun for the next round, just to have some more of those good fights that I had with Strongest Avenger today, because that's what it's all about most of the time.
It is indeed, is indeed. So you won't be here for Red Bull Ring, but we'll see you back at Silverstone. Three finisher from race 2. Deophile grabbing that podium in race 2. You're out on your own for quite a lot of that, it seems, and just happily going around to just claim that P2. Good race by you.
Yes. So in the beginning of the race, it was quite close. So if you refer to the second one, and at the end, I was lonely. Had 8 seconds in front of me and 8 seconds behind me, but I was just like, keep the focus. Don't think about anything else. Don't throw it away, and just bring the car home. And yeah, it worked.
Yeah, that's a great job by you. So, got yourself a P3 podium today. Looking forward to a Red Bull Ring. Are you expecting another podium there?
Probably not. So I do not expect to have the actual pace currently to get this regularly, but I profited from a few accidents in front of me this race. So maybe something like 8th or 7th place. I think that's natural. So I try to be realistic and aim at such a position. Yeah.
Yeah, so at least you got managed to put your name on a podium this week, and look forward to seeing you at Red Bull Ring.
Yep. Thank you.
And last but not least, we have queued up for interviews is a Big Wilk. 8th in race 1, and I believe a DNF in race 2 due to some contacts. What happened there?
In race 2, the finish was just a big latency issue. All the cars started dancing around, and by the time it stopped happening, I was on my roof. And I haven't got a reset button, so yeah, retirement.
Yeah, we saw George also last week not having a reset button, but this week managing to reset himself. So I guess you'll be binding that ready for next week. Try to get yourself back on the track in case it happens again.
I guess I felt for the sake of realism that if you're on your roof, you probably can't get back in the race. But
that is also true. Yeah, you're not looking to get going again if you're on your roof. But
yeah.
seems like a few other drivers having mixed results today as well, so definitely still in contention for that championship. Obviously last week's Strongest Avenger not having the great finish, As Turbo having a pretty terrible race too, so still looking to claim the championship title.
Oh, I don't know about claim it, but I'd certainly like to be up there. I think I was P4 in quali today, and I was too cautious in race 1 and got turned around, and I was probably too lacking in caution in race 2, trying to stay with Joguk and spun it. I don't know if you saw that. It was a great save, but it just put me in the mix with everyone else. And I think if I'd been all by myself, I would have got away with that latency, but with other cars around, I was just pinballed around the place.
Yeah, we caught the tail end of it because I think we were watching the battle behind yourself and Joguk, where there was 4 or 5 cars battling it out, and you joined that pack. But how was that pack racing when it was before the latency hit? Because there was some real close racing. At one point, you were 4 wide going down towards turn 1 before you sorted yourselves out.
Yeah, it probably wasn't a great idea. For me, I'm running 1/3 of a second ping to just about everyone else, and a lot can happen in 1/3 of a second. So, but it's great that we can race that close and that we didn't all end up on our roofs. So fantastic.
Yeah, so looking forward now to Red Bull Ring next week, and hopefully you can get a better result there.
Thanks, guys.
All right, catch you later, mate. Next we'll bring in our Celtic bromance friend, Clank, who race 1 getting a P4 and race 2 having to pit shortly after Joguk did. We didn't catch it on stream, so Clank, what happened in that race 2 for you to need to pit?
Oh, I took him out to make the championship more interesting. No, it was completely irrelevant. I just saw that bit on the stream. We were nowhere near each other. I was in P4, I think, and Joguk said in voice chat that he'd crashed, and I'm like, oh, here we go, P3. And you think at that point I'd go, oh, podium redemption for Barcelona. I'll sit here and play it safe till the end. But of course, I'm not that clever. So I thought the guy in front's only 3 seconds up the road. I'll give it the beans. And I messed up Ascari. Went too wide on the first part, and that sort of pushed me wide for the sort of left-hand part of Ascari. Hit the mountain curb on the inside, and by the time I landed, I couldn't brake before hitting the wall, and my car was quite totaled. So that was disappointing, to say the least.
Yeah, obviously heading for a podium and then out of the race is not really where you want to be, but looking at the championship, it's still going to be pretty tight with a lot of the top contenders being lower down the order than you'd expect, with Joguk having a 9th place, and he is also missing next week, and As Turbo finishing outside the top 10 also for race 2, so still all to play for the championship.
Yeah, but in the championship, my fight isn't with those guys, I don't think, because I'm not going to beat them over the course of a championship. So when I see them on track, I don't battle them. I battle them differently in a way, because I know there's not much point. Whereas, today was a great opportunity to score big points against the people I am directly competing against, like WRC Animal and Deifile, who went up 2nd and 3rd in the second race, when I could have easily been 3rd if I'd been a bit more competent.
Yes.
But there we are.
Lessons learned going forward to Red Bull Ring then. Gonna get the practice in for that one?
Well, probably about as much as today and how beforehand. But race 1, I just want to say, was great. It was me and Stephen Carey. I literally just sat behind him on purpose. I deliberately was lifting at the end of straights to not get too close to him, because we were pulling away from Martin behind, and I didn't want to get involved in a scrap and then get swamped. So I just let him pull me away from the pack behind. And then towards the end, I pounced when he made a bit of a mistake. But then I made a mistake myself at Ascari and got a slowdown warning, which turned out to be the best strategically placed warning ever, because it was on lap 10 of 11, which meant that coming out of Parabolica on the start of the final lap, I was right behind him onto the main straight. So it all worked out pretty well. I think you were watching that on the stream. I had a quick watch.
We did catch most of that at that point with the battle for 4th place in race 1. Incredible stuff with you and Stefan Carey, giving each other plenty of space, but battling hard as always. So it was great to watch that back and forth that you had going. But the penalty system coming in clutch for you.
Yeah, in a way. It's you've got to play the slipstream to your advantage. In qualifying, I was pushing, trying to do some good laps, and they were just nowhere near competitive. And I'm like, what's going on? You know, I'm not great, but I'm not this bad. And then I just decided, you know what, on this lap I'm going to sit behind this guy, and my lap was shite. Right? It was excuse my French, but it was terrible. And like through the corners and stuff. But the slipstream down the straight gets you so much time back that I end up improving by like 7/10. And it's just huge in these cars around this track. If you can just sit behind someone for the whole lap, it is massive. And I played that to my advantage in race 1. And in race 2, well, I didn't really get the chance because everybody was just trying to overtake everywhere. We went 3-4 wide into turn 1 at one point, where I backed out under braking because I said to them in voice chat afterwards, I had a bit of a moan, if I'm honest, because I said if I didn't back out there, we'd have all died. You know, I know you want to be on the podium as much as I do, but we need to get to the end to do that.
Yeah, for sure. We saw that 4 wide going down to it. We were wondering who was going to be the ones to drop out of it and who was going to force the issue all the way through it. But luckily you had the intelligence to pull out of it and go, no, we need to finish this race, not just die into that corner, all 4 of us. So
yeah, I lost 3 places there, but then I got all 3 of them back. So it works out in the end, I suppose.
Yeah,
time.
Definitely until you just binned it yourself, but
Yeah.
we won't talk about that too much.
But that was that was so awful. I don't know. I could have gone anywhere other than into that curb would have been fine. But oh well, it is what it is.
It is what it is. But P4 in race 1, especially that battle with Stephen Carey, that's what we race for, is those sort of battles that you have going on, because it was incredible to watch, and look forward to seeing more from you next week at Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, cheers guys, thanks.
And that will do it for us for the interviews, and do it for us for this day's racing at Monza for the AOR Project Cars 2 Formula C Championship. JP, any closing words?
Can we do Monza again next week, please? Because the racing tonight was absolutely insane. Sorry, I just want to tell Clank one thing, that Clank, you are the first guy. Well, you and Carrie are the first guys to get me literally out of my seat while I'm commentating.
Yeah.
That was in the first race. It was absolutely brilliant.
I think I've battled him every race. I remember in Barcelona overtaking him at the end for P10 at the end of the sprint race. I swear we've had a battle every time. I don't think there's been a race where I haven't fought with him. It's been great, and we're always pretty fair with each other.
Yeah,
so
had a great battle as well, Rapuna as well. But so definitely Celtic bromance bloods boiling between you. So it's good to see, good and nice rivalry going between you for the season.
I don't think there's any bad tension unless it's from his side. But,
you never know with the angry German, do you? But that'll do it from us. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week at Red Bull Ring. Peace. Good night.
Good night.